Brew McCoy, Dante Thornton Jr., and Dylan Sampson were the 3 offensive players from Tennessee at the NFL Combine over the weekend. They all had a lot to say about the quarterback of the unit they played for this past year. Now, look, typically former players are going to tout players on the team they were just on. It's lip service. It's classy. It's the right thing to do. And if they didn't, there'd be some serious drama that you would think is going on. However, the stuff Brew McCoy and the stuff Dante Thornton and the stuff Dylan Sampson said were oddly specific enough that a lot of it seems legit, and a lot of it seems to give you reason to believe in Nico Iamaleava taking a step forward for the future. So this hot or cold is going to be a little bit intriguing. I'm going to read a quote, and I'm going to tell you whether or not it's lip service or it has value. If it has value, I'm hot. If it's lip service, I'm cold. And we're going to start with Brew McCoy. Asked about Nico, here's the first quote. Quote, I think his confidence, and by the way, you can read the article on these quotes. Patrick Brown of 247 Sports has the article on the quotes. I don't put the quotes in my column just on principle. He's the one who wrote it. So go to his site, I link it, and I just give my overall takes on it. So the first quote by Brew McCoy, quote, I think his confidence is just going to continue to grow and grow. As he gets older, and especially having Mike Matthews there too, he'll just continue to develop. He's getting bigger, stronger, faster. His arm strength's already there. And the more time you have in the offense, Coach Hype runs, the easier it is to do stuff. So I think you'll see a similar outcome to what Joe and Hinton were able to do. He's got a lot of good stuff ahead of him. Well, Joe didn't do a lot of great stuff, but there were other issues with the program at the time. But I'm going to say I'm hot on that quote. I think the quote is specific enough that he makes clear his belief in Nico Iamaleava. He specifically touted Mike Matthews. It seems like he believes that Mike Matthews is ready to take a giant step forward at receiver this year. Brew McCoy, with all due respect to him, we know couldn't open up the field for Nico the way he wanted to because he was coming back from his injury. And he just didn't have the step that was needed to dictate coverage. Mike Matthews with year development could. So I'm going to say out on that. That sounds exactly right. And Coach Heupel's offense does get easier to run as you get more experience with the system. He's speaking from a receiver's perspective. Now, Brew McCoy picked up the system quickly. He stepped in and filled in for Cedric Tillman immediately in 2022 after Tillman went down. But to be fair to that fact, McCoy was much more experienced than Mike Matthews or Nico Iamaleava was last year. But I'm hot on that. I don't think that's lip service. I think that is way too specific and positive. So I'm actually very hot on that. Now I'm going to go to Dante Thornton real quick. Quote, he was always prepared for big games, no matter what it was. A lot of people tried to tag that he was a freshman. It's his first start. It's his first season starting in the SEC. But I feel like every game he came in with the mindset he was going to be the greatest he could be. And he showed a lot. And he showed that in a lot of those big games. All right, that's lip service. Nothing specific. Nothing that really stands out about that. That's lip service. I think Dante Thornton. I'm not saying Dante Thornton doesn't believe in Iamaleava, but he was just saying stuff to be positive right there. That's lip service. That wasn't anything specific. So I'm actually cold on that. Moving on. Dylan Sampson. He just comes from a humble and strong foundation of family. I've seen him take steps over the course of the year, just in his leadership and his growth being a young quarterback. But man, he's poised, he's confident, he's humble, he's cool, he's calm, collected, man. He's going to take that team over. He's going to really do a good job of growing into the leader that everybody wants him to be. Now, that was the highlight quote of the whole story. He's going to take that team over and he's going to do a good job of growing into that leader. That would sound like I want to be hot on it, but I'm going to say cold. Lip service again. If you say he's going to grow into a leader, you're acknowledging he wasn't a leader last year. And how do you know he's going to grow into a leader? You're not on the program anymore. You're just kind of there at that point. So I'm a little cold on that. Now, McCoy came back and said and touted how physical and tough he is. And specifically, he goes, there's like this knock on him, the quote from McCoy, quote, there's like this knock on him, maybe that he's skinny and that he can't take hits. I don't know if you saw the Ohio State game, but he got his helmet cracked open. He just got a new helmet and we're right back out there. So the guy's extremely tough and he's a great leader too. That is absolutely, I'm hot on that. That's absolutely not lip service. That is totally McCoy touting his toughness. And he adds to that, Nico's a dog, man. That's Very, very. So I'm absolutely hot on that. So playing all this, again, Hot or Cold is brought to you by City Heating and Air, 50 years in East Tennessee. Integrity matters. cityheatandair.com. I'm going to give you my overall take in 1 second.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
There's your best. All right, final take on this. I'm hot on what Brew McCoy was saying about Nico Iamaleava. I'm cold on Dante Thornton and Dylan Sampson. Not to say that I think Dante Thornton and Dylan Sampson don't believe in Nico Iamaleava. I just think what they said was much more lip service. I think what Brew McCoy was saying was much more specific. And this follows Brew McCoy. Yesterday, we talked about him touting Deshaun Bishop as a star for Tennessee's offense. That really stood out to me. I really trust Brew McCoy on these thoughts. He has proven himself over time as a guy worth believing. So with that in mind, I 1000% believe in these comments. I think they are legitimate. And so I think don't take those lightly. Don't take those lightly. Brew McCoy is a very honest player, and he was one of the leaders of the team last year. So was Dylan Sampson, but Brew McCoy's been a leader for 2 or 3 years, and I think he was very specific. So with that in mind, the takeaway I have for this with what they're talking about is that I think Nico Iamaleava to Mike Matthews is going to be a deadly duo next year. I think Mike Matthews is going to be able to dictate coverage, and I think that's going to change the complexion of Tennessee's offense at receiver. I think that will make them better at wide receiver, honestly. And again, not to knock Brew McCoy and Dante Thornton, but they both struggled with their health. And that ended up proving costly specifically last year. So with that in mind, Brew McCoy, his comments were legit, and it should alleviate some concerns people had about Nico Iamaleava as far as how good is he, how issues issues does he have, and things like that. I am if I'm Tennessee, I'm very encouraged by those comments. But just to go to the message board a little bit, David Speak says, I've never questioned his toughness and leadership, but I have had questions about his game indecisions and field awareness. Yeah, I have too, David. I'm not going to lie. But McCoy did insist that gets easier as you learn Josh Heupel's offense over time. And also if the receivers are able to do what they need to do, that helps. Derek Owen says, I don't believe in Mike Matthews. He's going to have to prove it. That's a fair point, Derek. But again, sometimes it takes receivers a bit of time to pick up the system. General Ursus says Bray would be a killer in this offense. Speaking of Tyler Bray, I mean, he would. Tyler Bray had the most beautiful deep ball, I think, in Tennessee football history, quite honestly. So I think Tyler Bray, physically, if he had intangibles, he would have been an NFL Pro Bowl quarterback. He just didn't. He had a special arm. And it's kind of a shame how it worked out, although he walked away with a lot of NFL money, so he probably doesn't care. His intangibles were that low. I've never really respected him that much because of his lack of intangibles, but at the same time, he wasn't in the best situation when he was at Tennessee. So there's that too.